Between your third cup of coffee and your second scroll through social media this morning, you probably saw a post celebrating someone's mindset shift. Their brave pivot, their overnight transformation, 1,000 likes, inspiring and irrelevant to what builds lasting leadership. So, what does? What produces the kind of leadership that people trust, follow, and build their futures around? It's not a dramatic moment. It's not a viral post. It's not even a brilliant strategy. It's consistency. Doing what you said you would do day after day, meeting after meeting, email after email, even when no one is filming it. He spent decades pointing out a simple but staggering truth. The Grand Canyon, one of the most breathtaking geological formations on the planet, was not carved by a dramatic, heroic flood. It was carved by a consistent drip, water doing the same thing in the same direction for almost incomprehensible period of time. As a leader, the most powerful force you possess is not your best speech, your best idea, or your best quarter. It's the team member you check in on, not because performance review season is coming, but because it's an otherwise unremarkable Tuesday. It's not what you do once in a while that shapes your life. It's what you do consistently, said Tony Robbins. James Clear in Atomic Habits gives us the science behind Ziegler's wisdom. A 1% improvement daily yields a 37 times improvement over a single year. We overestimate what we can do in a dramatic burst and catastrophically underestimate what consistent, marginal effort accumulates into over time. Consistency is not a personal trait, it is a system, which means you can build it deliberately. This matters because the temptation in leadership is always to manage by exception, to heroically swoop in during a crisis and disappear when the thing stabilizes. But your team isn't fooled. They're watching whether you remembered that thing you promised them last month. There's a category of leadership behavior that almost no one celebrates. Stretched. The executive who reads every word of the junior team member's proposal, not just the executive summary. The manager who manually checks the accuracy of a report before it goes up the chain because their name is on it. People extend deep loyalty to leaders who are willing to be in the arena, who do the difficult, imperfect, unglamorous work alongside their teams rather than simply directing it from a distance. Daring greatly means the courage to be vulnerable. It means showing up and being seen to do the actual work, not just inspire the work. People don't follow titles, they follow character. And character is not what you say about your values, it's what you do when the situation doesn't require it. Warren Buffett built Berkshire disciplined, boring consistency. He reads voraciously every single day. He writes the same frank, honest letter to investors year after year. He doesn't pivot. He doesn't rebrand. The consistency itself became the asset. Ronald Reagan understood something many leaders learn too late. Preparation is a form of respect. When you walk into a room having barely glanced at the materials, you're communicating loudly, if silently, that your time is worth more than the time of everyone who prepared those materials. Reagan communicated the opposite. Aides who prepared briefing documents would discover in later conversations that Reagan had memorized specific details, statistics, even the names of supporting sources. In a world drowning in information, Reagan chose depth over breadth, mastery over skimming. Winston Churchill, arguably the greatest wartime communicator of the 20th century, shared this discipline. Churchill famously said he was never ready to give an impromptu speech because he prepared every single one. The perception of natural brilliance was in both cases the result of unnatural discipline. The Reagan Standard asks you one pointed question. Are you the person in the room who did the homework, or the person hoping no one asked? Before we build systems, let's take an honest inventory. Stephen Covey reminds us that awareness precedes change. So here are 8 behaviors your team, your peers, and your stakeholders are silently tracking right now. Number 1, are you keeping small commitments? Showing up on time, meeting deadlines? Are you chronically close enough? Number 2, are you completing tasks to the standard you promised or to the minimum that gets you by? Number 3, are you following through without reminders? Number 4, are you consistent under pressure, or do your standards drop when the week gets hard? Number 5, do you communicate proactively when something is delayed before anyone asks you to? And number 8, do you honor your standards when no one else is watching? If several are stung, welcome to the club. You're human and you've identified growth opportunities. The goal is not shame, it's honest. Here's the truth. You don't need superhuman willpower to become a consistently reliable leader. You need a well-designed system. System 1, the anchor habit. Identify one keystone behavior, the single consistent action that signals to your brain that we are doing the work. Reagan had his morning briefing. Churchill had his writing routine. Your anchor habit doesn't have to be glamorous. It has to be non-negotiable. System 2, the friction audit. Every unnecessary step between you and consistent behavior is friction. If preparing for meetings is your target, ask yourself, what's standing between me and reading those materials the night before? Remove those obstacles. System 3, environment design. Shape your calendar and your workspace so that consistent behavior is the path of least resistance. Block the preparation time before your key meetings. Build a weekly team check-in into your schedule before you get too busy to remember. System 4, the recovery protocol. Zig Ziglar understood the river doesn't always flow smoothly. What separates reliable leaders from unreliable ones is not whether they ever stumble, it's how quick they recover. What will you do within 24 hours of dropping the ball? A call, an apology, a revised commitment? This protocol ensures a stumble doesn't become a pattern. System 5, the accountability mirror. Identify one person, a peer, mentor, a coach, who will tell you gently but clearly when your drip has stopped dripping. Not to shame you, to reflect back what they observe. Your accountability mirror is one of the most valuable leadership assets you can build. Napoleon Hill wrote that every adversity carries within it the seed of equal or greater benefit. Every consistent positive action carries the seed of compounding benefit. The team member who learns to trust that you will do what you say develops a confidence in their own work that shows up in their output. That confidence spreads, the culture shifts, the organization begins to run with a reliability that competitors cannot replicate because it's a character. Charlie Munger summarized it with characteristic directness. Show me the incentives and I'll show you the behavior. Your consistent behavior is the most powerful incentive you have. Boring? Maybe. Brilliant? Absolutely. The leaders history remembers, Churchill, Reagan, Buffett, were celebrated for their relentless, undramatic consistency that made their people believe the mission was possible and that their leader could be trusted to see it through. Here's your challenge this week. Pick one of the 8 behaviors from the self-audit that gave you a little sting of conviction and build one system around it to anyone willing to design it. The consistent leader is always the richest one in the room, not because of what they earn, but because of what they have deposited. If this challenged your thinking today, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, drop a comment below telling me which of the 5 consistency systems you're going to build first. I do read every comment. Next week, we'll go into chapter 6, the language of trust, because how you say what you say is often the difference between a deposit and a withdrawal in the trust economy. I'll see you then. God bless you.